Residents vote to protect abortion access in the Sunflower State.
And rain on the way as promised. Showers and thunderstorms developing. More on the way. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Congress passes new legislation designed to give veterans easier access to medical treatment.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Kansas voters reject an effort to eliminate the state's abortion protections. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, a major victory for supporters of abortion rights. While the majority of Southeast Kansas voted for the Value Them Both amendment, the no vote prevails in Kansas. 59% of voters in the traditionally conservative state say they want to keep abortion rights in the state constitution. It's the first vote of its kind since the Supreme Court struck down Roe v. Wade. Caitlin Huey-Burns joins us with more on this historic vote.
A resounding victory for abortion rights supporters in a conservative state.
I feel like my state just showed up and boldly told me that they are going to take care of me.
Kansas voters rejected a ballot measure that would have eliminated constitutional protections for abortion in the state. A move that would have allowed the Republican legislature to further restrict or enact a near ban on the procedure.
Is this the end? Can the legislature do anything on this issue?
I think it might be a while before we get another bite at the apple.
It was the first time voters had a direct say on the issue since Roe v. Wade was overturned, and turnout was significantly higher than expected for a primary contest in the state at 47%.
What was at stake was our constitutional rights and our freedom. And so, a coalition of voters across the political spectrum came together today and voted no.
Abortion rights supporters hope the win reverberates beyond Kansas.
If you can see that the no votes win here, then that would mean that you could have that in any part of the country, no matter how red it is.
So what happens here in Kansas could be a roadmap for other states.
It is a roadmap for how do we make sure that we're asserting, defending, and protecting the rights of women to have access to care in any part of the country.
As voters decided to maintain abortion rights here in Kansas, at the federal level, President Biden is expected to sign an executive order to expand access to reproductive health care. Caitlin Huey-Burns, CBS News, Olathe, Kansas.
Well, here in Southeast Kansas, Crawford County is the only county that voted against the amendment. In Joplin, voters decided against raising property taxes to boost funding for the police and fire departments. Proposition Public Safety needed a simple majority, but it failed, with 56% of voters giving it a thumbs down. And Carthage residents voted on an $18 million school bond for a performing arts center. Majority of people did support the proposal, but it failed to get the 4/7 majority needed to pass. That means the Carthage school bond proposal fails. We've got exciting news. Rain is on the way.
Yeah, in fact, there it is. As promised at the noon hour, showers and thunderstorms building into our northwestern counties, as you can see, and they'll continue to increase in coverage as the day goes on. We still have the heat advisory to contend with, which runs until 8 o'clock tonight. And here's why. I mean, check out these temperatures. We're pushing the mid to upper 90s across the board. When you factor in the dew point, these are the feels-like temperatures. We're about 100 degrees, 101 in Parsons, and it's going to be just sticky, but that's because we have the rain. So some of the storms we see tonight could be on the strong side. As you can see, tornado threat is pretty low, and the good news from this morning, they've scaled the hail threat back a bit, but you can see that wind threat still encompassing a good chunk of the area. As we go through the rest of the day, those thunderstorms will build in everywhere, and they'll be scattered initially before the overnight hours. We'll be at 84 by midnight. The overnight lows, we're going to start the day a lot better by tomorrow because this morning we were starting in the 80s. Tomorrow we're going to start in the 70s, but it's also going to be very rainy when we wake up tomorrow. We'll take a look at the full forecast and when these storms are really going to start to get going here in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, Kansas and Missouri are just 2 of 5 states that held key primary contests yesterday, and some of the GOP candidates backed by former President Trump are celebrating. Ed O'Keefe is keeping track of the results in Arizona.
I guess there's no turning back now, is there?
With votes still being counted in Arizona's Republican gubernatorial primary, Karen Taylor Robson, backed by former Vice President Mike Pence, is claiming victory. Robson is neck and neck with opponent Kari Lake. The former TV news anchor, backed by former President Donald Trump, believes the 2020 election was stolen. She's also claiming victory.
We're not going to take our election systems being this messed up.
The winner will face off against Democratic nominee Katie Hobbs. Meanwhile, in Arizona's Senate race, Democrat Mark Kelly is set to face off against Trump-backed venture capitalist Blake Masters, another election denier. And yet another Trump-backed candidate, Mark Fincham, has won the GOP race for Secretary of State. He's an election denier and has been one of the loudest voices promoting the former president's unsubstantiated claims that the election was rigged. If he wins in November, he would oversee Arizona's elections. Then there's the U.S. Senate race in Missouri.
I am honored to be your nominee for the United States Senate.
National Republicans are breathing a sigh of relief that Eric Schmidt defeated Vicky Hartzler and Eric Greitens, the controversial former governor of Missouri, who's being accused of glorifying political violence.
Today, we're going rhino hunting.
I want to make this a better state.
And in Michigan, Tudor Dixon won the GOP nomination for governor. She believes the 2020 election was stolen and will face off against Democratic incumbent Gretchen Whitmer, seeking a second term. We're also watching what happens to 3 House Republicans who voted to impeach former President Trump after the January 6 riots. One of them has lost a primary against a Trump-backed challenger in Michigan. 2 others in Washington state may hang on to try again in November. Ed O'Keefe, CBS News, on the campaign trail in Tempe, Arizona.
Well, Eric Schmidt ran against 19 other candidates to win the Republican nomination in Missouri's U.S. Senate race. He'll be competing against the Democrat frontrunner, Trudy Busch Valentine. Well, the U.S. Senate passes a bill to expand benefits for millions of injured veterans. Up next on KOAM News at noon, how its passage makes it easier for vets to get treatment if they were exposed to toxic burn pits. And later, we're making slow cooker baked ziti in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. But first, more election results for both Missouri and Kansas. You can find complete results on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. A lot of Republicans ran the race for the 7th District congressional seat currently held by Billy Long. I'm sorry about that. The Senate passes the PACT Act after a number of Republicans dropped their opposition. The legislation makes it easier for vets to get treatment if they were exposed to toxic burn pits. Scott McFarland was there for the vote and the celebration.
Tears of joy outside the Capitol for veterans and their families, some of whom spent days and nights camped outside, along with advocate and former TV host Jon Stewart, to pressure senators to break through their stalemate.
You think your group moved the senators?
I'll tell you they sure did.
Senators approved long-awaited legislation to expand medical benefits for potentially millions of service members exposed to burn pits in Iraq and Afghanistan and other toxins as far back as Vietnam. Veterans groups say they were blindsided last week when some Republicans blocked passage of the law in a procedural dispute over how to budget money for the tens of billions of dollars in costs.
The motion is agreed to.
A dispute senators resolved last night.
Finally, at long last, America lived up to its ideals by saying to our veterans who have been exposed to toxic chemicals from burn pits, we have your back.
Among those attending the vote, Susan Zier, whose son-in-law, Heath Robinson, died of lung cancer after returning from Iraq.
What was Heath's experience like?
The first words out of the oncologist's mouth when he was giving him the diagnosis was, what the hell have you been exposed to?
President Biden celebrated the bill's passage from the White House. Zier says she expects to attend when Mr. Biden signs the bill into law, which he says he'll do when it reaches his desk.
Scott McFarland, CBS News, The Capitol.
Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
The taste of a long-baked favorite without turning on the oven. If you think that sounds good, just wait until you see what it is.
But first, Chris Warner returns with your complete forecast.
Well, we have some storms on the way, and that's some good news. Unfortunately, we've got heat advisories that do continue through this evening. The scattered storms are already on the increase, slowly but surely, and they will certainly increase as we head into the overnight hours. I zoomed tower cam in just a little because here at 7th and Rangeline, you can see the cloud tops from some of those storms out to the west and northwest. Right now, though, in Joplin, we're not dealing with that yet. 96 feels like 101. So we got that dew point that's up there. Temperatures across the area are sitting in the mid to even upper 90s for a good portion of us. And once you take those dew points into account, because look at them, 68 Webb City, 71 in Pittsburgh, that puts us right here in that sticky to muggy range. And once that's factored in, you get the heat index, and it doesn't look very pleasant at all. But it's not as bad as it could be. Could be 105, maybe even higher. So we'll take 101 heat index values for right now. As we go through the rest of the evening, storm chances increase for everybody as the evening goes on. Temperatures getting down to 85 by midnight. And then as I do this little waltz here, temperatures, look at this. We started at around 80 degrees for most of us this morning. We're going to be starting 10 degrees cooler tomorrow, but we're also going to be starting with rain. So Skywatch Storm Tracker off to our northwest as promised. Some showers and thunderstorms, even a little bolt of lightning out there just east of Burlington. This will all increase in coverage and overspread the area. Before that, though, the heat advisory, as I mentioned, till 8 o'clock, unfortunately. As we go through the night, temperatures will cool off slightly, and those storm chances will continue to increase greatly, especially as we go into the overnight and early morning hours. That's when they'll really get going. They'll be out of here by about 9 or 10 o'clock, and unfortunately, that'll allow us to heat up pretty decently as well. So let's take a look into the future and see what the future holds. These storms increasing. They'll slowly start sliding southeast as we head through the night, and then check out early tomorrow morning. Widespread showers and thunderstorms across the area, something we very desperately need. But then, as you can see, they start to clear out. Maybe a stray shower or two for some of us, but otherwise high and dry as we go through the day. Temperatures will definitely be on the warm side once again, unfortunately, but that's all right. It's summertime. We've kind of gotten used to it. I don't know if that's good or bad, but as you can see, after this system moves out, pretty high and dry after that. So the thing is today, some of these storms could be a bit on the strong side. So the tornado risk is pretty low, and they have moved the hail risk a little further northeast. Still got some of us in it, but it's still pretty low. The only thing we're really contending with is maybe some gusty winds. That's not saying all these storms will be like that. Just some of these storms may be on the strong side, and if they do get a little rowdy, then they may bring us some gusty winds for the most part. Temperatures still on track to breach that 100-degree mark. We got the heat advisories and the scattered storms, and as promised, more storms overnight. Those chances increase, the temperatures decrease, and those storms will be sticking with us as we start the day tomorrow. So an alert day one more time for today for those heat advisories. And then as we go through the week, storm system clears out, temperatures get back up into the lower 100s, but you can see there's some low-end chances of maybe a shower or storm at the start of next week. Hopefully, those chances increase because we do need the rain, and the rain we're going to get tonight is going to be nice. Now, again, the drought situation is still pretty severe and extreme in some areas. This rain is not going to eliminate that, but every bit we get will certainly help out. So we're very grateful for these thunderstorm chances tonight.
Yeah, no kidding. We need the rain, and hopefully it'll be widespread enough to make a difference.
I'm certainly hoping so.
All right, thanks, Chris. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Jason Murray in the U.S. Air Force. Quapaw, Oklahoma native, joined the military in 1994. He served for more than 2 decades, serving tours in Qatar, Kuwait, Afghanistan, and Iraq. To Jason Murray, we thank you, our four-state hero. Looking for a perfect meal for those busy weeknights this summer? Howard shows us how to make slow cooker baked ziti in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Now that we're in the dog days of summer, the last thing we want to do is turn on our oven, right? Well, of course, right. But on the other hand, it can get pretty boring eating salads all summer long. The answer? how about making a fill-you-up comfort food favorite that's made in your slow cooker? We start by sauteing Italian sausage along with a chopped onion and some garlic. While that finishes up, we mix together some ricotta cheese with a couple of beaten eggs, a good amount of shredded mozzarella, some Parmesan cheese, and some oregano. Then, after lining the bottom of our slow cooker with some spaghetti sauce, we add in half of the cooked sausage, half of the ricotta mixture, and half a pound of uncooked ziti that we rinsed in cold water. That allows us to throw it in without cooking it first. After layering everything one more time, we finish it off with more sauce and cheese. Then we simply turn on the slow cooker and walk away. When it's done, what we end up with is a slow-cooked comforting favorite. There's no heating up the kitchen and no need to rush home to make dinner. It's ready to serve whenever your gang is ready to dig in. To get the recipe for our slow cooker baked ziti, all you have to do is check out our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a slow-cooked summer way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
Showers and thunderstorms getting underway in our northwestern counties, and they will increase in coverage as the evening progresses. And a quick look at that 7-day forecast. There it is. You can see it's going to rain tonight and into tomorrow morning, clear out, and then the temperatures will go right back into the lower 100s by next week.
Lower 100s.
It's giving us a little break.
It is, and it's giving some rain that we need. So, I mean, at least we're getting rain out of this.
We won't talk about how muggy it's going to make it feel.
Yeah, you just have to go outside and you can see how muggy it is. You can feel how muggy it is.
What do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, a Pennsylvania boy is recovering after a rare tick-borne disease left him with a severe life-threatening infection. We're going to have that for you in Health Watch. Plus, voters in Carthage missed the mark to pass the bond to build a performing arts center. We're going to hear from the superintendent of schools about the next step for the district and its students. And the Ronald McDonald House receives a donation from a local car dealership. Hope you join us for those stories, a whole lot more. Of course, it's coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right. Thank you, Dow. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.